All right, good morning. How's it going? We're back. We also have a whole new sound mix setup that's like really complicated. So we're kind of testing things out right now. So don't be surprised if like a sound alert fires or if the audio mix feels off. Please let me know if like the music is too loud, too quiet, if I'm too loud, too quiet. We're working on that. So last week we kind of implemented our doors. Got to a place we were pretty happy with the doors. We can throw down single doors. Oh. Single doors, double doors. Pretty much works. There's no triple door. I've put a pin in the triple door because we really need to change our search pattern if we're going to implement triple or wider doors. And I think the single and the double door accomplishes the goal by itself. I think the triple door doesn't really offer us anything at the moment. But maybe I'll change my mind on that at some point, and we'll prioritize getting that back in there. But for now, I'm more interested in laying the groundwork that we need to be able to turn the tile map, be able to rotate the tile map. So the first thing we need is a concept of like the directionality, which we shouldn't have all of this stuff here in the star dock. We shouldn't do all of the input monitoring in the star dock, or maybe any of it really. If we do, it should just be the ship editing stuff. But for now, it's what we've got, so we'll just keep doing this. We'll refactor it later. Sorry, I'm like all of a sudden very allergic, of course, because, you know, only when I'm start streaming do I get really allergic. All right, so we don't really have a camera per se. Actually, we don't have a camera at all, do we? So we're not really doing camera rotation so much as we're rotating the entire, like everything, like rotating the game board. Hey Cubus, how's it going? How was your weekend? Let me know if the audio mix seems off to you. I split my audio outputs into all their various parts so that I could do some stuff, like introduce some sound alerts, which we may or may not hear at any point today, likely not. But I needed to redo all my sound mixing to make that possible. So everything's probably a little off right now. Or the dock's not working. Okay, so I can index negatively into an array. That's good to know. That's what I was checking. I probably should just clamp the value instead. Or not clamp, but like wrap it. But I'm feeling lazy, so maybe I won't. We basically need an array here. It's like the... make a constant cam angles. Viewing angles, I don't know. We'll just have our... It'll be like vector 3, not 3, vector 2i, 1, 1. And then a right turn would be... So if we're looking down 1, 1, this is where my brain starts to break. If we're looking down 1, 1 and we turn, and we orbit our camera to the right, we're now looking down negative 1, 1. We make another turn to the right, then we're looking down negative 1, negative 1. And similarly, if we make a left turn from 1, 1, we're looking down 1, negative 1. So we can just move through this and we'll get our camera angles. Should call this view dire. Like camera twist, I don't know. We're saying camera twist, but we don't have a camera. Oh, hey, the North Pole light. How's it going? How have you been? We've been advancing our auto tiler here. We can build rooms. We can add doors, single doors, double doors. We have this whole auto tiler system. I don't know the last time you stopped by, but this is what we've been working on. I'm especially proud of the single double door auto tiler. You can just do a single door, add a double door, or remove the double door to go back to a single door. But right now we're working on how to turn this whole thing, which is an interesting challenge. I also need to fix some old... I said this week was going to be Fix Our Broken Systems week, but I guess I changed my mind. We might still end up doing some of that. Okay, so I have a camera twist, the default of which is going to be 1-1. We also need like a viewing angle. It's just going to be one of those, or should it just be an integer? Let's call it camera position. It'll be an integer. And we'll start at 0. And so when you do this, you're just going to basically change the camera position. And we need a Boolean. We'll just say something like camera position changed Boolean. Changing the camera position is basically the same as replacing all the blocks. Or replacing any blocks. It's going to trigger... Well, what it should do, it should be different. Moving the camera isn't the same thing as making a structural change to the tile set. It's just a review, it's a repositioning of the rendering side of it. Okay, so we do need to treat it a little differently. So we'd say camera position minus equals 1. Say camera position changed is true. And if camera position changed. We need to call something. Why did I go all the way down here? I was kind of looking around here. I'm curious to see how this is going to affect the rest of this. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. We should actually put that down here, huh? Or we should admit this, as a signal. Signal is not a bad idea. But for now, let's just put the check down here. At the bottom of our input processing. All right, so the camera position stuff will first go to the ship hull, which is... I reorganized and renamed everything, which makes this a little harder to find. Is it this, a hull stack? I feel like I'm going to change a bunch of this again. Okay, so here we have our tile block replaced. Let's also have a func camera position changed. Or deck in ship deck. So we're just propagating this down, which isn't the best way to do it, but it's fine. What am I doing? I'm just writing stuff. Just bashing the keyboard here. And then we need to go down to the ship deck. All right, so we're going to keep passing this down. We're treating this very similarly to what we do if a block changes, but we will eventually need to differentiate the implementation. Just we don't have to do it until we're pretty far down the rabbit hole here. For each layer in the ship layers, we do this. Layer dot camera position changed. And now here's where we need to actually implement some stuff. So door layer. Let's see what common functionality we have in the ship layer. We call what, hull layer? Yeah, so this is our basic tile map layer. I don't think we do anything here. No. So the functionality for this is specific to the individual types of layers. That's true at least for oh, okay. So I think we need to go through this whole process. Right. might need to go through this whole process. Because we're taking advantage of the fact that we only need the like downrange tiles. We only need to check against certain types of tiles. So we kind of almost need to treat it as the same as if we replace the tile blocks. That's unfortunate, and we can probably get around that eventually. We're already avoiding some of this stuff. Like, we're not redoing the... Yeah, we're not repartitioning the ship space just because we're changing the tile block. So I'm down to have a separate route to like a separate series of function calls right now, even if they ultimately do the same thing here at the base, at the lowest level, because that might change. That implementation might change, so that's okay. Here we might honestly just call this, but here's the part that we need to know. We need to know what the viewing angle is now, what like the new viewing angle is. So that's going to affect how we render this stuff. So how do we get that? This is something I really should have planned out a little better. So like the default angle is just the vector, it's just a positive vector 1, 1. And then so if we have more interesting, and so that vector, the viewing angle, basically controls how we traverse the tile block space. So that's how it should work. So if we're doing something like this, like getting the positive, negative, if we're getting these, that would have an effect on this. So instead of coords plus opposite block, flag.axis.x, it could be opposite block flag.axis.x times the x of the viewing angle, so that if it's positive, it just does this as normal. If it's negative, it flips it. That's probably the easiest way to handle this. I would just need to make sure I catch all of these. The other thing is, does it affect the way we read into the coordinates? Like, does it change the way we look at the coordinates? Changes the way we look at the neighbors. Does it also change how we treat the coordinates themselves? It does, doesn't it? So do we just make the coordinates, do we multiply the coordinate components by that, so that instead of starting from the positive, we'd start from the, instead of starting from the top, we'd start from the bottom? No, that doesn't, does that work? Oh yeah, that does work. That might work. Okay, so we do it in 2 steps. We'd have it alter the way we view these coordinates. So we'd coordinate them, we'd look at them relative to where the camera is, and it would control the way we step across the neighbors. We would do it the opposite of how we normally do it. So I'm going to try to plug all of this in using just the positive 1, 1 vector, which should have 0 effect. So let's go back up to the top here. So the star dock, when it says the camera position is changed, we're going to pass in a new camera, the new camera position. Or should we pass down like this? Camera twist. Index into it with the camera twist. So we say camera twist, camera position. So we'll pass that down to the ship hull. And the ship hull, we'll have that recorded here somewhere. Variable camera position. It's going to be a vector 2i. Probably call it view direction instead of camera position. View direction, view dir. Say view dir equal, not dir. Voir view dir is camera position. I don't love using different naming conventions at different levels of the abstraction, but that's what I'm doing because I have a hard time choosing. So I like to try a few things out and then see what I like better, and then I'll unify them all. I'll make them all consistent at some point. All right, so we've got our view direction. All right, so now that we have that, we have to rewrite quite a bit of code. So for coordinates and ship hull.tile blocks. So the tile blocks are fine. So this is the part where you rewrite the coordinate. You could say something like rel coords. So the relative coordinates would be coords.x times ship hull dot view direction dot x. Okay, so yeah, that's what it's going to be. So new vector 3i. Anytime we use the word coordinates, we want to replace that with relative coordinates. Except if we're referencing the tile block. So we could call this the absolute coordinates. So there's the absolute coordinates and the relative coordinates. I like that. the opposite coordinates are the absolute coordinates plus, here's where it gets interesting. So plus a new vector 3i. So it'd be op block dot x opposite block x times ship haul dot x. Oh, shoot. We need to know what dimension we are in. That's unfortunate. Dimension and flag.axis.x is flag.axis.x. We can say op block dimension.x, or we can say op block dimension times ship haul.view direction.x. Say op coords equals let's say elif dimension Dustin how many episodes do you think you can get out of this game? I don't know. Maybe 1,000? Probably in the neighborhood of 1,000. How's it going? How's it going, Dustin? We're working on our auto tiler so that it can flip around and redraw the tiles based on the viewing direction of the camera. Which sounds crazy, but it shouldn't actually be that hard. If you start streaming your work, you don't think you're brave enough to number the episodes? Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people don't, but we're multi-streaming to YouTube, and I'm kind of just using YouTube as like an archive. And because of that, I kind of want to number the episodes. Like, I could just use dates or something, but I would need to include that in the video title. So yeah, in my mind, it was just easy to use episode numbers. But yeah, I'm not ashamed of how this is probably going to take like 4 years or something like that. And you know, there's 300 and something days in the year. I don't remember how many working days there are in a year, but it would be 5 times 52. Let's assume I take a couple of weeks off, which is reasonable. So we get 250 days, working days in a year, ideally. So, you know, 4 years, 1,000 episodes. It'd probably take longer, honestly. But I got time. How are you doing? What are you working on? All right. So right now we've added this concept of relative coordinates over the absolute coordinates. So I need to keep plugging in the relative coordinates where necessary, which means not when I'm indexing the tile blocks, but when I am indexing into the hull types. Because the hull types here are going to be based on the relative coordinates, but the tile blocks are based on the absolute coordinates. So the opposite coordinates are also based on the absolute coordinates. It's cool. After release, you could do retrospective wrap-up episodes and say, here in episode 28, I did this super cool thing. But over in 63, you can see I made a bad choice. Oh yeah, we're going to do that as we go. I think once I wrap up a major feature, like once we've wrapped up the auto tile feature completely, I think I'll make like a YouTube video out of it, and I'll probably pull from multiple episodes of video. Because I need to start building a YouTube presence. But to me, the only way to do that is to do like feature videos. You're working on an old school fantasy RPG. That's rad. Grid-based dungeon crawler, 6-character party, turn-based combat. That's awesome. I've definitely looked at how turn-based RPGs do their stuff, because my game is not turn-based, but it is grid-based, so it's interesting to me to read up on some of that stuff. That's cool. Is it isometric or top-down? Or is it 3D? All right, stay on focus. Stay on task, Dave. What am I doing? Ship hull tile blocks has op chords. Op block is the ship hull tile blocks op chords. Op block and block comp door is a block comp. Yeah. Hey, Unlinked 2. Thank you for subscribing. Or not subscribing, following. Thank you for following. I just had an SFX trigger based on it. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Nice, Kivas. 3D dungeon exploring, that's awesome. Old wizardry, might and magic, Bard's Tale style. But welcome to the chat on Link 2. Yeah, I've got some audio effects play on like follows and subs and stuff. That was the first time it played. It's the little communicator chirp. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me test that out. Hopefully the mix was okay. I want it to be noticeable, but not like loud. It helps me because otherwise stuff would happen and I wouldn't look over and see it, but the audio cues are helping a lot. But welcome in, Unlinked 2. What are you up to? How's your week going so far? Dustin, your project sounds awesome. Are you doing Are you just doing the programming? Are you kind of doing everything, like the art? I can't do 3D art, which is part of the reason why I've learned how to do pixel art. Your week's good. Coding along. You're doing everything for now? Nice. Hey, Unlink. It's going pretty good. We have an auto tiler that works really well. Right now we're trying to introduce camera rotation to the auto tiling. Camera rotation. It's really just turning the game board and redrawing everything based on the new viewing angle, but there's no camera in the game per se. So hull types, the hull types want the relative coordinates. That's what we're doing here. So we just plug that in. And then beyond this, do we even need to acknowledge the difference between that? Yes, we do, because we do this here. I don't love that. I think I need to separate how I'm doing this. I think I need to like get all of the layers to update their hull types and then have all the layers update their atlas chords. I think I need to do this using a manager instead of just putting it all down in individual systems. I think I need a more ECS style approach to processing these. I was thinking about that a lot lately, but I'm gonna read the chat for now. You're finding random stuff off itch.io game assets to fill things in. That's cool. That's what I did for my last 3D game, which was a jam game. I was pretty pleased with the results. Once you get the game able to play to level 4, you'll probably start streaming and then looking to find better art or an artist to play. I wouldn't worry about having stuff done to start streaming, because honestly, it takes a while to get traction. I wouldn't worry about like not having enough done to stream. Yeah, exactly. Unlinked too. It's not only does it take a while to build up an audience, but people are kind of interested in every step. I think people like getting in from the ground floor in a lot of ways. Like we're still building tools here. Like all we're developing up is almost a rendering engine. Like we haven't done anything to do with a game per se yet. Yeah, so we're gonna hack this a little bit right now. But yeah, I really want to change this to work with more of a manager and ECS system so that I can just process a bunch of data and just treat this as data and not try to process this at every level like this, because we're recalculating information because we don't have access to our other layers data directly. I think that would be easy to fix. Like I like having stuff organized by nodes and trees and stuff, but like I don't think you always need a node for everything, especially if it's just mostly pure data and you can split the functionality off of it. It's more of a I'm doing things in C# I've never done, so you're doing things the super wrong way before figuring them out. That's fair. I mean, honestly, I do that and I'm constantly informed about the correct ways to do things. So I've learned a lot just by having people in the chat help me out. But I get it. I get not wanting to like stare at the screen, not knowing what to do and be streaming at the same time. Spent all of September getting named pipes to work. Should have taken 2 or 3 days. No worries. I spent a whole week just animating doors. To be fair, I didn't stream that. I probably should have. That was because I didn't want to get made fun of for not using layers. So. Yeah, the doors are wild. We have a triple door that I made that we have not implemented yet because I realized our logic doesn't support it. But I'm gonna have to get to it eventually, or people are gonna get upset. All right, for chords and tile IDs, tile IDs.clear. So what do we do this? We get source IDs first, then Alice chords, then alt tiles. So for chords and hull types. Okay, so the hull types have the relative chords. So if we pull those chords, we don't have to distinguish between absolute and relative. But down here we do, which is annoying. Yeah, doing this part, which we do elsewhere too. The floor does this too, doesn't it? Yeah, the floor, the Alice chord system and the floor does this as well. I don't like that. I should fix that now, but it would be such a major refactor that I don't think I want to do it at the moment. I think I'll just try to make it work. Because the doors do it a lot too, don't they? Like when the doors get the Atlas chords. Like there should just be gated steps and more ability to share information between layers. So that we don't have to recalculate all of it. Yeah, the door does this all the time. It checks its neighbors. When it could just pull the data directly from the neighbors, it recalculates everything for them. Because it doesn't have access directly to them. Does this a bit. That's fine. We'll make it work like this and then we'll fix it. But now it is fun to watch. Your game runs and your automated test app can create a character, enter the dungeon, equip the vest gear, explore, and do battle. Oh, is it like some kind of auto battler thing? Where you just have that for testing? Oh, you said it's an automated test app, never mind. But that's pretty cool. That means you probably have a fairly sophisticated AI going on, which is definitely helpful. You're working on loot drops for battles. On Link, you're implementing a demo system for testing right now. Nice. Yeah, just for testing. Okay, cool. But I figure that could be useful, like if in the game you eventually have adversarial adventurers, like rival adventurers, adventuring parties, you could have that controlled by the computer pretty easily then, in that case, if they already know how to do everything. You need to make sure you balance. Yeah, having automated testing for balance is really cool. I am not gonna probably ever get to that point. All right, let's go back. I was working on the wall, so let's finish the walls. So for chords and relative, so for oh shoot. So for relative chords in tile IDs, they'll say variable absolute chords vector 2i, vector 3i. So to make the absolute chords, we do the opposite of this. So it would be absolute chords times negative shift view direction times negative, oops, times negative, and it's relative chords. Z is unchanged. You want to verify interactions between spells and equipment effects. That's smart. Make sure that there's actually an effect happening. It's way more than you want to do on Link. Your engine is not there yet to even play back a demo. Are you in Godot, or do you have like your own engine? X causes poison damage, but Y has resistance. Z is immune. XX casts a counter spell. All that chaos you want to have automated testing for. That's really smart. I think if I had more interactions like that, I would definitely test that out. For me, the notion of balance is a lot more relative and a lot more vague of like, is this ship design compelling? And that's going to be something you can't really automatically test for. So if shiphull.tileblocks.has absolute chords, we want the absolute chords here. Absolute chords plus... Oh, so I also need op block then. Variable op chords. We need to do the op chords thing from over here. Yeah, I don't like duplicating this effort, but honestly, it's the easiest, the most straightforward way to do this right now. It's just to duplicate the effort. Also, I don't need to do this has and then check. I need to start using get. Paul.tileblocks. Oh. I'll make sure I don't accidentally mix these up or I'm going to have an impossible time figuring that out. You have 12 elements of magic. That's a ton of interactions. Yeah, you're right. It's your own engine on Link. Oh, that's awesome. You're doing something a bit more exotic. You're targeting the original black and white Game Boy. Really? And not like simulated. You're like actually targeting... Well, I mean, I guess you could target an emulator of the device, but that's wild. You wrote your own homebrew assembler that you use exclusively. That's incredible. Wow. That is quite the passion project. Oh, we're dealing with the adjacent face again. So adjacent faces. Oh, here we're checking all of them, so that shouldn't matter. Since we're checking all of them, we don't need to worry about the viewing direction of the camera, so that's good. Second there, I was worried that was going to get a lot more complicated. All right, we got an ad break starting in a minute. I'll take a few minutes to finish my breakfast when that hits. Okay, that may or may not work. What I just did there. The problem is I need to do it 3 different places, which is also why I want to do this differently. You mostly use an emulator, but you have a flash card here for real hardware. That's wild. Very cool. All right, so for absolute coordinates in there. Okay, so when we're back from the break here, we'll fix this script, and then we'll just have one more script to fix. And then we can start testing it and seeing if it works. I tried to design this in such a way that it would be easy to turn the tile map around and redraw it. We'll have to see. Dustin, and boy, how do you love your ChatGPT coding assistant. Once you have things documented out, just writing the test case names, it fills in the whole test. That's a good use of Copilot. Or whatever you're using. I don't generally use those just because I'm not sure what I'm doing as far as the structure. Like I haven't well defined the structure. But yeah, if I was just enumerating test cases, that would be a great use of an AI coding assistant. All right. 3 minutes of ads. Be right back, people. Thank you for hanging out. So with the working game in place, setting up tests around those defined variables, methods, classes, Copilot is a beast. A couple of times it called out edge cases you didn't spot. That's awesome. Is this also a proprietary engine, Dustin? A for landscape. No, we're not always only listening to jazz. This is a bit too classical for my taste, but it's what's happening. C# Godot. Oh, okay, cool. You switched from Unity a year ago. I also, because CEO's got a CE Go. Is how I read that. Yeah, I did the same thing. About a year for me on Godot as well. Very, very happy, especially in 2D. For 2D, this engine blows Unity out of the water. All questionable business decisions aside, Freelansky makes us feel very distinguished. Feel like you need a monocle and a cup and a saucer. Yeah, this ain't your plebeian stream here. We're sophisticated. Fortunately, you had been focused on the RPG engine of the game and not UI, so you just lifted your C# over to Godot and kept going. Nice. Sorcery Story did that too. Sorcery Story is a great C# Godot developer. And they were able to lift most of their code into Godot, which is pretty incredible. I decided I wanted to at least learn how, you know, how it worked, how GDScript worked and everything, and so I'm kind of taking an advance until resistance is met kind of approach to this. But I've been thinking more and more about diving into C# for at least parts of this, because I have separated out the rendering and the gameplay components of my game to an extent. I want to do it even more. But doing that means I kind of want to do some of the more heavy simulation stuff just totally outside of the Godot API. Just in pure C#, just in pure .NET land, because it would be faster. I feel. So I haven't done that, but I'm considering it. You love Copilot helping you out. You're tempted to switch to Raylib. Interesting. Yeah, I'm comfortable with C# Unlink for sure. Like more comfortable because I have many years of Unity under my belt. So it's been nice getting to know GDScript. And I'm a piss poor C++ programmer, so like GD extension would be the other option for some of the heavier stuff. And I'm kind of tempted to do that, but that would be a lot more learning for me. And I don't think the gains would necessarily be worth it. At least for all the effort that I need to put in to like reach a basic competency at C++. All right, so we're continuing to add in the concept of the relative coordinates based on the viewing direction, and that should make this pretty plug and play, honestly. So instead of that, we just do this. Yeah, and like it's probably, I don't need the blazing speed of C++ stuff, because even the simulation aspect of this is like not huge. It's not, you know, negligible, but it's also not huge. Like some of the volumetric stuff I do around the atmospherics about like flood filling the volume of the spaceship, that can get a little performance. You know, the performance of that is non-trivial, but it's still fine. That's something that could be sped up. I kind of just miss. I kind of am tempted to. I mean, it's kind of stupid to say, but I might end up emulating kind of the Unity ECS approach, where I have a separate ECS land, and when necessary, and the ECS land handles the game state, and that's all in C#. And then I would have a rendering land, and the rendering land would be. The rendering and the input and the user input land would all be in Godot, like using nodes and stuff. I'm tempted to split it out that way. I need to think about that design a lot more. Ship hole.tile blocks absolute chords. Okay, so where am I defining the relative chords? Here. Variable relative chords. Let's just grab the relative chords from here because it's the same. Dustin, Copilot can't help inside the Godot 2D, 3D design view, but in Raylib, you define all your UI graphics through code, so Copilot could possibly help with that. It could, assuming it understands that very well. I find that your mileage may vary depending on how popular and how new the stuff you're using is, because their information is not necessarily like, obviously if you're doing like, if you're doing .NET stuff, Copilot's great, but like if you're doing GD script, I don't know how good Copilot's going to be at like GD script. And like Unlink, yeah, so .NET is surprisingly good at jitting anyway. Yeah, for what it is. Yeah, you're not sure how much Raylib content is out there for Copilot to learn from. That would be my chief concern. All right, so now we need the opposite block. Where do we need to use opposite block? Just in this branch? Only this branch? Or are we using that down here? We've defined opposite chords here somewhere. Where did we do that? Oh, up here. Okay, beautiful. Oh, so this is absolute chords. Oops. I'm trying to keep all of this straight as I replace all this code here, and it's a little tricky. So that's opposite block dot flag dot axis dot x. So it should be this times ship hull dot view dir dot x. So that is relative to the viewing direction, at least. All compartments. Yeah, there's definitely a better way to do this somewhere in here, but I'm just going to do this and then we'll figure it out. SDL with Vulkan might give you better mileage for that. Then you'll be deep in engine land. Yeah. I personally don't want to end up in engine land. Engine land is not where I find my joy. I know some people do. For some people, that's like the primary joy. Is this not resolving itself? Where do I define relative chords? Oh, too late. I see. You want to make games? You're looking for the easiest way to make your game? Oh, okay. You enjoy making game engines. If you enjoy making engines that makes, if you, okay, yeah. So if you enjoy, you're talking about Godot because you're like saying, you know, if someone else makes a game engine, you're happy to donate to your cause. Yeah, that's what I do. I send the Godot Foundation the equivalent of the Unity Plus subscription that I no longer have. I like just donate that to them. I'm just like, you deserve at least that. If you deserve more. But... And Link, you want to make games, but you're looking for the dumbest ways to make games. No, I mean, I think that's normal. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to do anything more complicated than what I need to make the game that I want to make. But that's the trick, right? Depending on what game you want to make, there's a minimum amount of effort that needs to be put into it. Man, I really hope that little refactor worked. We need to do the same thing down here. You got distracted for a day about 2 weeks ago when YouTube showed you some retro 80s computer emulators. You started thinking about what game you could make on those to taunt you. People are organizing game jams on those platforms. That's so rad. But yeah, not really for me. Yeah, you clearly, Unlink, you clearly love retro hardware. Making a Game Boy, a classic Game Boy game. You've made an Atari 2600 game before. It's all you have going for you. That's quite cool. I mean, some of those old accomplishments, some of those classic accomplishments of games, like, I mean, everyone always is familiar with, like, the original, like, Roller Coaster Tycoon, like how much of an insane accomplishment of, like, just pure, like, assembly that was. And, like, the watching the documentary on that, watching stuff about that I don't remember his name, but the Roller Coaster Tycoon dev, the stuff that they were achieving back then with just, like, pure assembly is incredible. It's like insert, like, Shiba meme of, like, the muscled Shiba and then, like, weak Shiba and, like, I'm the weak Shiba. All right, door layer. We need to do the door layer. Each of these implementations is very different, which is why we have different ones for all of these, but it's still rough. This whole thing uses absolute coordinates, doesn't it? No. I mean, yes, but also it still needs to... Does it matter? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh, door tiles. When I'm entering the door tiles, I probably want to enter the relative coordinate. You have some code in RAM where you swap out a single instruction based on if the player has iframes or not. Then you just jump to RAM. Probably will bite you later, but that's okay. It seems like just magic to me. I never get anywhere close to that close to the middle. I'm kind of not any particular discipline. Like, I probably have more experience programming than I certainly do with art or making sound, but for me it's like making the game first, and like the skills I've picked up along the way are kind of just incidental to that. And that means I'll never probably achieve any kind of true programming competency like that. Without being confident that you can make those kinds of optimizations. Am I doing this often enough to care? So here we want relative chords. Here we need absolute chords plus opblock flag.axis.x times shiphole dot viewdir dot x. You know, on new hardware you don't want to, probably. That's a good point. Assembly code that edits itself at runtime is wild and fun to write, but when it goes wrong, yeah, I'm sure. The Game Boy has 4 megahertz, so speed counts. That's wild. That's so wild. You're more interested in RPG game innovation, so you want a platform that lets you do that? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for me at the moment, I'm most interested in kind of doing the same thing that the FTL people tried to do, that Subset Games tried to do, where I'm trying to like do like a Star Trek simulator. That seems really compelling to me as an idea. Oops. All right, moment of truth here. Actually, yeah, so I'm not trying to do the camera rotation right now. We're just gonna run this and see if it runs. It should just run as is. Nope. So we're only getting a 0. That's curious. Think about that. Someone who really loved FTL, you're all in on that. You're doing a fixed rotation, right? Yeah, just the 4 corners, you know, because it's still isometric. Well, it's not isometric, but it's pretty much isometric. It's 4:1 instead of 2:1. Like it's 4 pixels over, 1 pixel down. It's like this. So it's more of a side-on view than traditional isometric. But I don't get into that unless someone brings it up. Yeah, it's a cool view. I kind of like it. It gives me a little more. It gives me a little more to work with. We had some trouble with visibility, but we have a cutaway system. It's not working right now, but it lets us remove walls like Sim style, and see behind it, depending on where the mouse is. That's something we need to re-enable. Okay, so we're only drawing. I probably need to add this to the mapped coordinates. I'm gonna just sanity check here. Obviously this isn't the problem. Yeah, so this knows all the different coordinates we're on. It's fine. We do need to add this there eventually, but let's work on getting this working here. So why are you only ever drawing to 0? FTL got you a little frustrated. Did an entire run with a missile launcher, desperately wanting to buy ammo and never could. Earned the achievement, do a run with no missiles. Kind of rage quit after that. Yeah, that's the roguelike breaks. That's like how people have tried to come up with a lot of card games that solve the MTG like issue of mana screw. About how you could have everything going for you, but you know, you just don't get the mana because of your just deck. You just don't get it. You don't draw what you need. And a lot of people argue that if you remove the issue of mana screw, you probably remove some of the magic that allows for this variance of experience. And I think roguelikes have that as like an intrinsic capability. Obviously you need to balance it so that it's like fun most of the time, but I think to have that true freedom of possibility, of like random event possibility, you have to be able to get screwed like that. And I think they need to make it just so that the buy-in is worth it. So it's like, that's why roguelikes I think tend to be short, so that if you get screwed, it's like no big deal and you can do another run. You hacked it so everything was giving you tons of money, extra money, to the run where you won and called that kid. Oh my god. When you play a roguelike, you expect to get trolled hard. That's also why balance doesn't really matter in roguelikes, because it actually feels really good to break the game. Like if you're playing Slay the Spire or something and you build a deck that's just dumb, that's just stupid. Like I've built decks that have had like 4 cards in them or something like that. Like I've gotten it down to just like only what I needed, and it would just be broken. You just redraw the whole deck over and over and over again, and you just have this like infinite kill machine thing. And like stupid scenarios like that feel so awesome. So I actually think in a roguelike you kind of need to be able to break the game. All right, so why is this a problem? So the absolute coordinates are the tile block coordinates. And those are the absolute coordinates that we're passing through. Absolute coordinates plus block dimension 1 times. So right now we're just, here's the thing that's confusing me. Right now we're just multiplying everything by 1, by the positive integer 1. I mean, that's what we should be doing at least. Maybe we're not doing that. Maybe we're multiplying everything by 0. Let me make sure that's not what's happening. View dir equals camera position. Camera position is getting passed in. Star dock. Camera position changed. Camera twist. Camera position. Oh. I understand. I understand what's happening. We're not initializing the value. I say ship hole dot view dir equals camera twist camera position. All right, it's working. It looks like it's working. Let's make sure we don't crash anything. We're having some outline issues. So something is a little wrong. Yeah, we're experiencing some outline problems, but it's mostly working. Oh, the auto, yeah, okay. So the auto tiler is struggling a little bit in some cases. The auto tile door system is broken. Oh. Why would that affect anything? Okay. There's some system that's looking at the absolute chords and the relative chords at the same time, and it's comparing them. Okay, let's see what that is. So the walls don't seem to have many issues. Yeah, okay. I see what's happening. So the outline's going away here because this block thinks its neighbor is here and down. I see what I did. I did something where I'm not... I did something weird where I'm flipping stuff around. Let's find it. Dustin, something about earning a difficult achievement. Oh man, I missed a lot of chat. Oh, Hades was kind of hard, but it was fun. Completed that. Yeah, Hades is good. Something about earning a difficult achievement should happen because you intentionally chose the difficult path. Getting it when you spend the whole game trying not to was just frustrating. That's fair. That's fair. You're just against achievements. I mean, the game did reward him for being messed with. You love the editor? Thank you. Thank you, Unlink. Yeah. You can see where you're going. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm saving a lot of effort on the auto tiling. Because drawing this stuff out by hand would be insane. Is your code just looking at the block directly below, and it should look at the floor tile first? That is what it's doing. It's looking at the floor tile. I probably messed something up. I probably put an absolute where a relative should be or something like that. So that part is here. I did copy and paste a lot of code. So the relative chords is being added here. I might not be translating correctly back and forth between the relative and the absolute chords. But yeah, it is just looking at its floor tile. This should be fine. Just multiply by the negative viewing direction, which is only ever 1 or -1. Because we're trying to go from the relative chords to the absolute chords. That seems correct. It works almost all the time. Except it's not working in this case. And the door is kind of broken. But most of the time it seems to be working. Maybe it has something to do with the adjacent block stuff that I'm doing down here. No, it's here. It's here when we're looking at the floor type. So if ship_hole.tileblocks.has opposite chords, and if our dimension, so if we're Z, if we're Y, our absolute chords plus. Oh, this is wrong. I'm not supposed to be doing this here. Oh no, am I? I changed a lot. Okay, there's somewhere here where I'm supposed to be checking the floor beneath us that is just us. And where am I doing that? Am I doing that up here? Probably doing that up here. No, I'm not. Okay, so... yeah, I mixed it up. I mixed up what we were doing here and there. Okay, so here we are only looking at ourselves. So I got this part wrong. So this I shouldn't need. So if ship_hole.tileblocks.has, it's just us. Oh, we're checking the... Oh, okay, I remember how this works. This is what I was talking about earlier, where I wish you could just reference what it, because we're operating over the walls, but now we need to check the hull types of the floors in certain floors. But because we can't just ask the floor layer where they or what's up with them, because we don't know where they're at in this process, we're just having to redo the calculation, and I messed up changing that. That's relatively easy to fix. Man, I booked this whole day for like figuring out camera rotation, and I think we might, or I booked the whole week for figuring out camera rotation, and I think we're gonna do it in like a number of days. Oh, we do have 1,000 errors. Okay, yeah, the door also is having an issue, which is why the door, I think the door is having a similar issue. This is where I open GitHub and look at the diff. So we're looking at the diff for the wall layer. We can get rid of this. We can just make this an else. We should make it elif. So if ship_hole.tileblocks.has opposite chords, and if it's not equal to that, floor type is hole.layer.middle. Oh, this should be working. It's not though. If shiphole.compartment0 has opcoords, yes. Elif shiphole.compartment0. It's the door guy. Yes, it is I. Hey, Enamoth. How's it going? Okay, I'm a little perplexed by that, but I think that's ultimately going to be an easier fix. Let's work on the door. So the door here, I think I'm messing something up where I'm translating between relative and absolute. I think that's kind of what's happening. Even though that should just be the easiest change in the world, because you're just flipping the sign basically. I mean, if necessary. Oh, is that the trick? Is it if necessary? Times 1. Okay, yeah, I've identified the problem. So we get the relative coordinate by multiplying the absolute coordinate by the viewing direction, which in this case is 1. But to get the relative, to get back to the absolute coordinates, you need to undo that, which is not just multiplying by -1. Because if you take the coordinate and multiply it by 1, it didn't do anything. But we need some formula, because in case it's -1, we do need to undo it. And it's escaping me at this exact moment how to do that. In both cases successfully, without checking. I mean, I could just check. I guess you just multiply it by the viewing direction again, right? That's how you do it. Maybe that solves both issues? We'll see. We're doing camera rotation this week, you know? And we've made quite a bit of progress just today. All right, let's see what that did. So far, so good. Yeah, it looks like that might have fixed it. Auto tiler working again. Okay, beautiful. Oh. Okay, that was a misclick. No worries. Take it easy, no. All right. So I think I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I think we are very close to just having camera rotation. So what we need to do one more thing in the input processor. The accounting team is on you. Of course they are. All right, so for the input processor, we just need to change the mapped chords maybe? Because we need to map the chords. Local to map, local. So we need to just take this and multiply this. So we need to... we need to do this here. Let's do it like this for now. Who cares? We'll fix this later. What am I doing? I don't know. All right, so we've got the camera twist in there, and we're doing it here. I'm not making any attempt to wrap the index, but that seems like it doesn't matter and won't practically matter like in any realistic situation based on my understanding of how Godot arrays work. So now this is the mapped coordinate is now a relative coordinate based on the camera twist. So let's see. Let's see if this does what we want it to do or if it crashes and burns spectacularly. Crash. Okay, we went for the crash option. Non-existent. Oh, right. We didn't finish implementing the function calls. My mistake. So here we're gonna actually just say deck, not deck. We need to go to the deck. Deck level. Here we're literally just going to say tile block replaced. Okay, it's doing something. Out of bounds get index 4. Okay, so we need to wrap it. Let's do this the stupidest way possible for now. Oh, not if it's less than 0, it equals 3. If it's greater than 3, it equals 0. So now we're just wrapping, so that fixes that issue. But we're not getting the behavior that I'm hoping for. So like if we do this and we rotate once, okay, no, something happens. Now if we rotate it again, nothing happens, and we rotate it again, something. So we're not getting 90-degree rotations like I'm wanting, which is a little perplexing. We're getting something. But like, what if we put some doors here? And we rotate. Okay, we're getting reflections, not rotations. No, we're getting a rotation. We're just getting... No. Yeah, we're getting reflections, not rotations. I blew this somehow. Oh, that's something. Wait, why is it working now? To me, it's not totally working in my mind. This is still wrong. My 3D spatial orienteering skills aren't amazing, so I'm struggling a little bit to understand exactly how it's wrong. It definitely is. It's not rotating normally, because this box should be turning 90 degrees, and that's not happening. Do I need to be doing something else, like multiplying x by y and y by x or something like that? Instead of multiplying x by x and y by y? Is that how I should be doing it? I'm not sure how that works. Let's think about this. Yeah, so I've achieved reflection, not rotation, is what I've done. So what happens is that we're reflecting the whole thing. Something like that. We're not actually rotating it. I need to think about this. So what if I make something in like a corner? Let's see what happens to it. Turn. That's not right. It should show up here. And it should twist. Yeah, we're just reflecting. That's what's happening. We're reflecting either on the X or the Y axis. So I need to rethink this so that it's actually a turn. But it's otherwise working. So that's good news in a way. It's not doing what I want it to do, but that's okay. Yeah, I think I know what I need to do. Let's try it. We'll go a little long today in the hopes that I can fix this. Just one more bug fix. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually waiting for a phone call. So if I get a phone call, I'm just ending the stream immediately. So don't be surprised. I just realized. think doing it component-wise isn't accomplishing anything. See if I can do it on the layer, on the level of... Well, we'll use this as our experiment here. Okay, we're still getting just a reflection and not a turn. It's not exactly what I want, but this is the easiest way to test what's happening. Yeah, so all we're getting are reflections. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna look into this. This is probably really easy to do. It's just, this is just my lack of familiarity with vector stuff. But I am pretty confident that we'll be able to finish this turn stuff tomorrow. But I need to get ready for work now and take this phone call that's supposed to be imminent here. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate all the new faces in the chat. I'm pretty pleased with our progress so far. We didn't break anything. We didn't achieve our goal, but we achieved something. So I think we'll be able to figure it out. I'm just gonna graph some stuff out today, do some math. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.